I'm OG Veteran, and I'll be your guide to a different side of American pride. Today, I'd like to talk about the nigger in the White House. Yes, there is a nigger in the White House. And that's so funny because a lot of people thought when Barack Obama got in, black people thought, oh, yeah, we got a real nigger in the White House. And anybody who was of any intelligence, regardless of color, knew that Barack Obama wasn't a nigger. He was an American. He was first generation African American. I mean, his father is African. So he's first generation. He's American. Barack was just cool. He was able to relate to a lot of people. And a lot of people were able to relate to Barack. But now we got a real nigger in the White House. Well, yeah, he's all nigger. If you don't believe it, think about it. If any black man did the shit that Trump does, with the gold and the bling and the this and that and the gold here and the shit talking, if any black man acted like Trump, everybody would be calling him a nigger. So let's just get it out. It's orange nigger. So how did we end up in this situation? America. With orange nigger in the White House. Back in the 70s, late 70s, group Sugar Hill Gang came out with a mainstream rap song. I think it was pretty much the first one to hit there. And it started a wave in America. And this wave swept worldwide. Rap and hip-hop and rap. Now, the thing about the first rap that came out and hit the hip-hop and hit the mainstream, not so much hip-hop, because I wasn't there at the very infancy. I was just there watching it grow, and I didn't know how I felt about it because I was in the Funkadelic. I was into Mandrell. I was into Santana. I was also into some of the, I was into Temptations, Motown. Can't get away from that, There was so much happening in the music and some really talented people out there doing some great shit. I was also into the classic rock stuff. Yeah, I was listening to it all because there were some great musicians out there. There were some great entertainers and musicians out there. I was even listening to some country rock. Marshall Tucker. So I was really open-minded. And so when hip-hop hit, I was like, oh, man, how do I feel about this? Because it was new. It was new. It was fresh. And I didn't quite know how I felt about it. But as it kept getting better, it was like, they putting out some good stuff. But they also were biting off on the masters early. We would hear things, we go, oh man, why are they biting off on somebody else's shit? Why are they biting off on somebody else's shit? Well, it's because they were biting off on the masters. They were biting off of George Clinton. They were biting off of James Brown. I mean, these were the masters of the funk generation. And so, what better way to start hip hop and start rap is to start biting off on the masters of funk. So that's what I saw happening. Like I said, I was out in Oakland area and the Berkeley area, San Francisco. And disco was big at the time, but it was, had its own following. And let's just face it, brothers from the hood just weren't interested in going into a disco, putting on polyester and posing like John Travolta. That shit just wasn't down. It wasn't going to happen. So it was time, the timing was everything. And so as hip-hop started getting moving around and getting bigger, the rap started getting stronger. And, it had so much stuff that started coming out that really started talking about what was going on in the inner cities and what was going on in the hoods. And in doing this, these brothers weren't afraid to embrace the word nigga because that's how they spoke on the streets. Nigga, 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 nigga. So they weren't afraid to embrace this. And here's where you fucked up, America. You started to embrace the nigga culture. But it was hard not to because rap was slamming. I mean, the shit was starting to come out and out and out. And even as I got older, I started gaining more and more respect for the artist because they were doing some nice shit. There's no way around it. They were doing some nice stuff. And, then you had the explosion of the East Coast, West Coast, and it was coming from both sides. And there was some solid music coming out of it. But unfortunately, the nigger culture came with it. And with the nigger culture came violence and ignorance. Now, the sad part of it is at that same time, there was some serious hip hop coming up that did not make the mainstream the way it should have because, well, like anything else, you don't want to create a music that's going to uplift the people that you're trying to keep down. So, you're not going to move together with a music and an architecture that says, let's uplift these people. Let's teach these people that we're not ignorant niggas. Let's teach these people that we are a human being and we are worthy of our respect and our place within this country. So they didn't want to hear that. So that shit got suppressed. But the nigga culture just kept growing and growing. And thanks to the media, every time there was a shooting, somehow they start trying to pair this shit up with the nigga culture, and the nigga culture got paired up with the gang culture, and the gang culture got paired up with the more rap culture, and the shit just kept getting stronger and stronger. But the problem is, America, white folks started getting into nigga culture. Let me say that again. When white folks started to embrace nigger culture, this country was heading down a spiral. And so here's the whole thing. We all know niggas are a problem. We all know niggas are a problem. I don't care what color you are. But here's the whole thing. Stop blaming black people for niggas. We didn't create niggas. Niggas are nothing but cracker 2.0. The nigger culture is born straight out of cracker culture, which comes from Europe, okay? Northern England comes from that area up there, the Highlands. That's where nigger culture started, but it wasn't called nigger culture because it was white folks. It was called cracker culture. And they brought that shit to the United States, okay? And these are who the blacks down south were around. This was the culture. And so nigger culture is nothing but cracker culture 2.0. That's it. So stop blaming black people for niggers because let's face it, if you don't know, study your history. There were free black people in this country before there were slaves. And they were a part of this country all the way up and all the way since the beginning. Even before there was a United States of America, there were free blacks in this country. Did you know that the first man to die in defense and to set the whole thing off of saying that we're going to have our own country was a black man, a free black man? He was black and Indian, Crispus Attucks. All right? Learn your history. So America starts embracing the nigger culture. And it was hard not to because the shit was slamming. The beats were slamming. Half the time, white folks and black folks didn't even know what was being said. But it was slamming. It was hard. I mean, when you start coming out with some of the shit that was coming out from the Bad Boys and from the West Coast, you had Death Row and G-Thang. I mean, it was hard to resist. But with it came a culture of ignorance and violence, a culture, because when you embrace nigger culture, you don't embrace education. When you embrace nigger culture, you don't embrace things that are positive. When you embrace nigger culture, the only ones that win are niggas. And, the unfortunate part is that they only win short time because sooner or later another nigger kills them. So how did we get here? Barack Obama goes in. Well, of course, niggas are going to vote for him just because he's black. Most black people voted for him just because he was black. And a lot of white people voted for him because he was an intelligent man, and he was delivering a message that a lot of people, regardless of the color, could bite off on. And that's how we got him. But we didn't have a nigga in office at the time. Oh, we had Bill Clinton before that. And you know what? A lot of niggas loved Bill Clinton. A lot of black people say, oh, he's the closest thing we've had to a nigga so far. So we're going to put Bill Clinton in. And that's how Bill got in and stayed in, but, he was doing some crazy shit himself. Monica Lewinsky, all right? So nigger culture has been rising and growing for the last 50 years, okay? almost the last 50 years, we've had nigger culture on the rise. And it rose to the point that once Barack Obama got in, the racists, the white supremacists out there, they're going, how are we going to deal with this? The country is obviously open to putting in a black man into office. How are we going to deal with this? And I think somebody was smart enough to go, you know what? We got to fight fire with fire. They didn't want John McCain. Nope. They said, what are we going to do? We need to find our own nigger. So what do? You find the people that niggas were looking up to and wanted and emulated and wanted to be like. And Donald Trump fit the bill perfectly. Now, black people today, y'all want to act like Donald Trump, you can't stand him, but you know what? There was once upon a time where every nigga out there wanted to be Donald Trump. Because they say game recognize game, well, niggas recognize niggas. And that's just the reality. And there was once upon a time where every nigga out there wanted to be like Donald Trump. In fact, his name was mentioned in more hip-hop and movies and all kinds of shit than you can even imagine. There were plenty of niggas who wanted to be Donald Trump. There were plenty of black people who wanted to be like Donald Trump. Okay? And so what you did, the white racists, they said, we need to find ourselves our version of a nigga. So they found Orange Nigga. I mean, he was perfect. He was boisterous. He was loud. He was arrogant. He was flashy, surrounded by bitches. I mean, everything. If he was black, white supremacists, you wouldn't have a problem calling him a nigger. You would be like, that nigger, that fucking nigger, look at what he's doing. He's exploiting. If he was a black man running a Miss American pageant back there in the back with all those beautiful young white girls walking around, the white racists would have been going, oh, that fucking nigger, he's back there looking and he's defiling our girls and he's defiling our young white princesses. But because he's white, you've let him get away with every niggified thing that he can think of. He brags about the nigger shit he does. I just grabbed a bitch in the pussy. What kind of nigger shit is that? And you let it go. Meanwhile, a lot of Americans are like, well, that sounds like some hard nigger shit to me. But it didn't matter. Only a nigger would say, I could shoot a motherfucker on Capitol Hill and get away with it. And you know what? He was right. It's a shame that we've let this happen to the country, all because you wanted a nigger, because you found out that niggas sell the pop culture. And that's all the election, especially the presidential election, has become, and the politics at that level is all become entertainment. It is the political entertainment machine. Okay? And he came in and said, okay, I don't even know shit about this arena of politics, but I know how to sell myself. I always said the man is nothing but P.T. Barnum on steroids, personally. But, for me to hate what he's accomplished, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. I have my issues with the man's character, but I'm not going to hate on his accomplishments. The man came into an arena where he's never, ever competed. And he's won not once, but 2 championships in this arena where he's never competed. All right? And guess what? It's only because if he would have came out there saying he was going to do some shit that benefited niggas and black folks, niggas would have been on board. But he came out and said, fuck you niggas. And, okay, that's exactly what he said. And when he said, fuck you niggas, white folks were like, hey, we got our champion. Our niggas in the house. Okay? Orange nigga in the house now. Orange nigga in the White House. That's exactly what was happening. Orange nigga in the White House. And now we're dealing with it. Because y'all thought he was joking with the crazy shit he was going to do. He told us everything he was going to do. That's some Mein Kampf shit happening. I'm not saying the man's a Nazi. All I'm saying is that the man said he was going to do it, and he did it. People were so surprised when Hitler did that shit. And it's like, the motherfucker wrote a book. He wrote a book. He wrote a business plan, a book, and said, this is how I'm going to do it. And Germany jumped on board. And the same thing happened with Trump. There was no surprises. Why is anybody surprised at what this nigga is doing? Give me a break. The nigga said exactly what he was going to do. And he's been doing it ever since. Every time. Every time. There should be no surprise. He said he was going to do this. He did it. He said he's going to do this. He did it. Now, like I said, I'm not knocking the man's game. I just think there's some character issues that I just have some concerns about. But if I knock his game, then I'm a player hater. Okay? I'm not a player hater. How can I? How can I knock a man who everything he's wanted to do in life, he's found a way to do it? And that is the American way. And that's what a lot of us hate because, God, we can't stand when niggas use the American way and move up. I mean, you had to get P. Diddy because he did it. He did the American way, but had to get him. There are so many people that have come up the American way because let's face it, the American way oftentimes starts with criminal activity and violence. We were born out of criminal activity. We didn't like King George taxing tea. So what did we do? Let's go on the boats, on the ships, dressed as Indians, throw the tea overboard, and say, fuck this nigga. He can't tax our tea. Fuck him. He ain't gonna have no tea to tax. That's some nigga shit. When you really, really think about it, they didn't send the letters and shit, say, King George, we think this is, preposterous. We shouldn't have to pay this type of money for tax. No. They went over and took his shit and destroyed it and threw it overboard. So we are a country born of violence. We're born that way. We told the most powerful country in the world, fuck you. Can you imagine? There was nobody back then telling Britain, fuck you. And Britain was like, what'd you say? He's like, we said, fuck you, motherfucker. And they were like, oh, shit. These niggas are serious. Yeah, guess what? We are that country. There is a lot of responsibility of being born out of that. I don't like ignorant ass people going shooting and killing people. I don't care what color they are. I don't like ignorant niggas, regardless of the color, going in and killing people in mass. I don't like niggas of any colors driving down the street and just opening up fire, killing women and children and missing half of the motherfuckers they're trying to kill. I don't like niggas of any color going and holding up in a hotel room with an AK-47 or an AR-15 and shooting down at a country music festival, killing lots of people and wounding more. I got friends now who are still fucked up behind that. I hate niggas of all colors, and I don't care about them. But this is the culture. Niggas are a culture. But once again, don't blame black people for niggas. Stop right now. Stop blaming black people for niggas. We didn't create them. We can't stand niggas either. Ask a black person. Ask somebody who's really, it's a nice American who's working his world, trying to do his thing. Ask him if he likes niggas. And he'll tell you, hell no. She'll tell you, fuck the niggas. That's just a reality. So in that respect, America, we're on the same sheet of music. However, stop blaming black people. You put a nigga in the White House. You put a nigga in the White House, and you can't understand why we're going through so much right now. The nigga wants his name on everything. If the man came out with a gold chain that said Trump across that motherfucker this big, you know what? White folks would be racing to go buy that gold chain. White folks, you would be racing to go buy that gold chain. If he came out with a do-rag, the Donald Trump do-rag, and came out with that shit, rocking that shit, and the shit said Trump and big old USA and shit, white folks, you would be rocking that shit. You would be buying that shit up like you could. Look what you did with the Bible. He put his name on the Bible, you bought it up. Everything he puts his name on, you buy it up. The motherfucker has gold toilets. How much bling is that? You can't understand why black football players who are making millions and millions and millions run around with a gold chain while they're playing football. This nigga shits on gold. And you think I'm crazy? Orange nigga, he shits on gold. He's about bling. He's always been about that type of a life. He's flashy. He's what every nigga aspires to be, with the exception of being white. But he's not really white either, because he's orange. But every nigga aspires to be that. They just can't stand them because, well, most niggas are player haters. And that's just the reality. Orange nigga. Take him or leave him. He's your president now. And we got him for another couple more years. But it's going to be different to see how it goes. Because, see, right now, white folks are going, okay, how do we follow up with Trump? Because he can't do any more years. One, because he's down to his maximum term. He's only got a few years left. And that's why they're trying so hard to change the law so he could stay longer. And two, he's just old. The nigga is old. And so the white racists are going, oh man, the white supremacists, the people that want to maintain that power structure, you think, how are we going to follow up? Because the problem is that you don't have another white nigga in the wing. You don't have another one. You know J.D. Vance can't pull it off. He's a hick. An educated hick, but he's a hick. You know there's nobody you have in your tank who's a nigga. Not like Donald Trump. And now you're wondering, what are we going to do on the next election? How are we going to deal with this? We need another white nigga. But what are you going to, you're going to get Gary Owens? I don't know if Gary Owens would be down for running into the Republican Party, but you can go after him. But there are, a few out there. But you're trying, you're trying to do a Kid Rock. I mean, you're trying to find that one that's just so, hardcore nigga that he can follow Donald Trump. And that's always a hard fact to follow. At one time, they said when MC Hammer was at his heyday, he was hot, he was fire. He was fire. And he would go on stage, he would warm up acts, and he would just blow the air out of the audience. And they'd be like, hey, we're going home now, MC Hammer. And they had to make him the headliner. Right in the middle of the tour, they had to switch up who was headlining because he would just blow the air right on out of the audience. That's it. And because it's hard to follow the main act. Now, there are a lot of people that did not like MC Hammer. So what? He was big. He was big time. Okay? He was A-list entertainment. Like him or not, he was A-list entertainment. Like Trump or not, the nigga's A-list entertainment. And how do you know he's A-list entertainment? Because you're always tuned into his ass. You can't stay away from his ass too long. You'd be like, I'm going to stop listening to the news. I just can't take it anymore. I'm going to stop listening to the news. I can't take it. And you go about, a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Maybe I can go back to the news and he won't be on it. Damn it, he's still in the news. He's A-list entertainment. What's this nigga gonna do next? You take a break, you do a news fast, as some of my friends call it. You do a news fast and come back. This nigga started a war? Why? Okay, he's not the first president to decide to bomb a motherfucker. He's not the first president to decide somebody off with somebody's head. But why? It's just like, why? Oh, because I can, nigga. Shit. I'm the president of the United States. I do whatever the fuck I want. It's y'all fault because why? You put me in here. You put a nigga in the White House. What did you expect him to do? Suddenly turn into a white man? This motherfucker's been acting like a nigga since he's been in there. And the only reason white people aren't mad that he acts like a nigga is because, well, you're benefiting. And I understand it. If black people were benefiting from Trump, we would be behind him. There's no doubt. If niggas and motherfuckers and poor motherfuckers were benefiting from Trump, we'd be behind them. That's just the way it is. But the fact of it is that he don't give a fuck about people. Only people he cares about right now are the super, super rich. Now, a lot of this is probably indicative of the state of the world. It may not necessarily be a full personal thing about him, because let's not be naive if we don't think that corporations aren't jerking chains. Okay, I mean, he had corporate people on the stage with him. Yeah, Elon Musk on the stage. And I'm not going to badmouth Elon Musk either, because I'm not going to say he's a nigga, but I'm not going to badmouth him because, once again, here's a man who said, I want to do this with my life. I want to do this, and and it's going to benefit a lot of people. They don't know it's going to benefit them, but I'm going to do this shit anyways. And a lot of people, Elon Musk, it's like, you know what? The man probably doesn't like to drive. And he probably, as a kid, he's probably 15, 16 years old. I don't want to get my license. Hell, I have a daughter who never got a license. She never wanted to drive. But this man probably said to himself, I don't want to drive. One day I'm going to make a car that runs on electricity that can drive itself. They laughed at his ass. Now look at him. One of the richest men in the world. I can't laugh. How can I hate on a man like that? The man decides, I want to go into space. I want to go into the space race. Like, why? That's the government's job. Not anymore. And he's in the space race. He's in front in the space race. He's doing the space race so hard that the government is like, oh, why do we need to do any damn thing? Just for appearances. We got to keep it up for appearances. This motherfucker has a rocket that goes up and does something that nobody ever said it would do. It comes down. And then they feel it and it goes up again. And then it comes down. And then it goes up. Boy, if we had to leave it up to the government to invent that shit, never would have happened. That is what this country is so good at, okay? That's what free enterprise is supposed to be about. It's supposed to encourage people, because the reality is that if without that type of encouragement, we don't have creative thinkers. Because creative thinkers are the ones that say, there's old money out there, we got to get that money into our hands. What can we do? We got to come up with something new. So how did we get Trump in the White House? Remember again, it was something new at the time. Hip-hop, rap, the whole rap culture was revolving around nigga culture. It's all in the music. Nigga, 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 nigga. It's all in the culture. How are we going to act surprised? And you fucked up, America, when you started embracing the nigga culture. When the whole country starts to embrace nigga culture, then it's hard to tell where it leaves off and starts. It was, you had it in commercials. Corporate America, hip-hop was everywhere. And where you had hip-hop, you have niggas. I'm not saying only niggas are in hip-hop and hip-hop is only comprised of niggas. Obviously, that would be the most stupid thing in the world, considering that we got a nigga in the White House. So, but it's the culture. It's the ability to be wild, flamboyant, say any damn thing. And you get paid for it. You get paid, and you get paid, and you get paid, and you get your name out there. Okay, you get credibility, street cred. People say whatever they want, but man, at one time, Donald Trump, he was the man for a lot of black people. A lot of black people. So for all you black people that want to act like, oh, you hate him now, you hate him now, you hate him now. You weren't hating on his ass 30 years ago. Sure weren't. He was in so many different rap songs. You weren't hating on his ass then, but you're hating on him now. Now, once again, I'm not going to sit here and tell you I voted for the man. But I have my own personal reasons. Maybe it's because I don't like niggas. Could be. And one thing about black people, yeah, even if we're not niggas, we recognize niggas. Well, we know a nigga when we see one. We got one in every family. You can't be black and not have a nigga in your family somewhere. Always going to be a nigga in your family. That's just part of that's just part of it. Unless you're an orphan. Okay? And one of the challenges is that I tell you how it even hurts in the black community. When nigga culture became the definition of blackness, it killed the black community. Because now everybody expected black people to act like niggas. And when black people didn't act like niggas, they were like, oh, you're not really black. How the fuck would you know? You know, the black experience. Certainly the nigga experience became known as the black experience. The nigga experience. You had to be able to identify. You had to be able to sing, spending most of my life living in a gangster's paradise, Well, for black people, even if you were in the peripheral gangster's paradise, if you were in it, you're spending your whole time trying to avoid the gangsters, trying to avoid ignorant niggas. And America, you didn't see that. There's a big part of America, you didn't see it coming. And you let it happen. So what's next? We're going to find out. We have a couple more years. We're going to find out how they replace Orange Nigga. Holla at y'all.